Do you want more misunderstood movies and madcap slumber party fun? Well, join us. Join our supercore at patreon.com/cinema-insomnia. You can get exclusive perks and help us make this 16th season your favorite Cinema Insomnia season ever. Become one of our patrons. Patrons? Patreons.
Patreons.
Patrons.
Patrons?
I think you're a patron at Patreon. Yeah, I believe that's how that goes.
Does Tron go to Patreon?
Oh, I hope so. I love Tron. Patreon.com/cinema-insomnia.
This space for rent. This signal space to your ears for rent. This space between your ears for rent.
Do you have a product, service, website, company? Propose, perhaps? No, we don't want to do that, right?
If you can't propose?
Well, I mean, if you really wanted to propose...
It would be encased forever.
Johnny says, will you marry me, Susie? We could do that, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Why not? If you have a product or service or whatever to promote, people, especially that you want to promote to our listeners, why not become a sponsor?
A sponsor, you say?
Yeah, a sponsor of this program. Contact Mr. Lobo at his personal email. I'm giving this out right now just for you, okay? Right. Don't tell anyone, all right?
Whisper it.
Mr. Lobo, that's MRLOBO, at cinemainsomnia.com. CINEMAINSOMNIA.com.
That sounds so sexy.
Yes. Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com. Contact me and we will get you on the air. We will talk about your stuff.
Your stuff. I believe this is the point where we start the program.
Oh, that's right. So why don't we get this program started? All systems go. Hurrah.
Attention, sleepless nights. Thank you for consuming this OSI 74 product broadcast live from the Black Knight satellite. For optimum performance and safety, your host, Mr. Lobo, asks that you please listen to these instructions carefully. When in a hospital or other healthcare facility, observe the restrictions on the use of electronic devices. Switch off before boarding an aircraft to prevent interference with communications systems. Do not operate this device in the presence of flammable gases or fumes, chemical plants, or where blasting operations are in progress. Always listen hands-free while driving a vehicle. Failure to observe these instructions may lead to immediate termination. It's time now for the show to begin. Thank you. Have a very pleasant evening.
You're not dreaming. You're listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Lobo.
Can I have some of these?
Not yet, Paul.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Across from me is Paul Sanders of BESTOW TV. And to my right, and Paul's right also, or no, that'd be your left, is Miss Mittens.
How about my other right?
Lovely Miss Mittens, famous for being my co-host on Cinema Insomnia. Paul, seriously.
Bye.
We have a new sponsor. It's Grandpa Nana's south of the border downtown corn chips.
Nothing tastes good as anything down south.
That's right.
Kind of gross, but if you ask me, I think they really should have thought about their advertising.
Yeah, so if you want to go downtown south of the border, try Grandpa Nana's downtown south of the border chips.
Yeah. And what's that you got over there? This is the
salsa.
This is the salsa. That shit. Am I allowed to say shit?
No, you're not. This here is
so
salsa. It's green salsa. Now, out here on the East Coast, you don't get the green salsa very much. I went to a restaurant. I asked for green salsa, and they brought that like weird, hot. It's like bile. It's like that stuff that they make. I guess enchiladas or something with. And it's like that's not what I want. I just want green salsa verde. Just green salsa. And they didn't understand what that was. And about a month ago, they started carrying. Great Value started producing a green salsa there in the ethnic food aisle.
I hate to tell you, but it's not green. You're just colorblind.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's just regular salsa?
Yeah, it's just regular salsa. You just, in old age, your eyes change.
Ever since I looked at that eclipse, my ability to discern colors has been completely screwed up.
That's so gross that you can even eat that crap.
But anyhow, Miss Mittens put this in a bowl for me, and so we're going to eat this salsa. along with Grandpa Nana's downtown south the border corn chips.
Hashtag sponsored.
Hashtag sponsored. Yeah, we got our first sponsored. So they listened to our podcast. Grandpa Nana listened to our podcast and decided
To put a copyright claim on it. So
Yeah, exactly. So he
this is
owns
how
it
we
now.
have. So technically, he's paying us for what we've already earned on the past podcast. Kind of weird, isn't it?
and then he will earn everything. He basically is paying us, but then we'll have to pay him back because he'll have to.
Right.
He'll have all the rights to what we earn.
Correct.
So, but Grandpa Nana was listening to the podcast. He heard the thing about this space for rent, this space between your ears for rent.
Such a horrible commercial.
It really is. I don't know why we let Paul lead on that commercial, but he
I
heard,
think I demanded it.
he heard that commercial, and he said, "You know what? I'm enjoying this podcast. I want these guys to keep going, and I have a product. I have my downtown south the border corn chips."
This story sounds familiar. You said you didn't think you sounded like this, and you're giving me the same speech.
Didn't that sound like what?
What? You have a camera, and I have a place, and you're like, yeah, I don't sound like that. And here you're doing the pitch, and you said, see, you do sound like that.
Fine.
Recall.
Yeah, so drinking hot coffee and we're eating delicious corn chips, and man, they are delicious. They're white corn, and they're salty, and
Tastes like old man.
and feet, a little
feet?
bit like feet.
Is that what that
but
is?
in a good way,
Yeah.
cheesy.
Yeah, well, they're corn chips, but people think that it's corn as in corn,
like a corn on your
but
foot?
it's corn on your foot. It's instead of corn on the cob, it's corn on your foot, and they put it into chip form.
You think Grandpa Nana grows these corns himself?
Well, if he's this tasty, I want to buy me another bag. Hashtag sponsored.
Hashtag sponsored. So we're having a party here. Just couple of guys at a potted plant on a nice night like tonight.
On a pirate radio.
In the freezing cold.
Freaking cold.
Man, it's so cold in here. We had a great time last week. We talked a little bit about copyrights, and I think it got a little dry last week. I think we got a little too academic.
But you know what's not dry? This corn chip.
It's extremely dry. It's very, very dry. But it's not quite as dry when you dip it into this possibly green salsa.
Yeah, well, I'm not eating it in that possibly green sauce because salsa's gross.
Paul,
I eat them plain.
Paul and I are like the opposite. I like hot liquids and moist food, and Paul likes cold liquids and dry things. Dry toast, dry chips. Bricks, wood, anything that just has like no flavor, no.
Lobo wears
spice.
pants. I don't. Let me film that.
That's true. I like to wear suits. I like to dress up. I like to think of myself as a clothes horse. Bit a little fancy. I always thought it'd be a great name for a ladies' store. Because there's
What,
like
clothes horse?
Clothes horse. Because there's like there's Dress Barn, there was the place called Dress
that's
Barn.
much better.
And which I always thought was funny. And then there was like there's Dress Barn, and then there's another one that's horrible too. That's the plus size one. What's the plus size store that's really terrible? It's like I don't know, not plump and fancy. I can't think of it.
Forever 18.
Forever.
Or is that an age or is that a dress
Yeah,
size?
that's a dress size. Forever 18 and a half. No, I Forever 1995 is what Dixie's friend calls Forever 21. I thought Clothes Horse would be a funny name. If we ever do a sketch about a ladies' clothing store, I think Clothes Horse would
Mr.
be
Lobo
funny.
does Clothes Horse?
That sounds disgusting. What's really funny is that Paul has these videos on BESTOW TV with Mr. Lobo Does, and I think we talked about it a little bit last week, where we take on different topics and different things. Mr. Lobo does lunch. Mr. Lobo does
Fidget spinners.
fidget spinners, free comic book day. And every time we post about it, somebody goes, Mr. Lobo
does Dallas.
does Dallas, or Debbie does Dallas. It's like, yes, sir, you got the joke. Congratulations. Yes.
Which the origin of the whole title came from that.
You identified the format phrase that we're playing off of. Tell him what he wins. Well, Johnny, he wins a giant bowl of Grandpa Nana's downtown south of the border.
And the ironic thing is, come spring, we're talking about doing a Mr. Lobo Does Dallas and actually going to a town Dallas.
Yeah.
But not as porn.
I think Dallas.
I mean, unless we get enough requests and more sponsors.
I'd like to go to the real Dallas, but I think we could go to Dallas, Pennsylvania first.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not too far from us. Not too far, as in a couple hours. Oh, I'm down.
Sorry, there might be Dallases in other. I'm sorry, this is where Mr. Lobo dies. This is how I always thought my life would end.
Mr. Lobo does death.
Mr. Lobo does the emergency room.
Let me get my camera.
Mr. Lobo does. Hold on. Mr. Lobo does Dallas. There's a Dallas in every. There's probably a Dallas in every state, perhaps, or similar.
So we could do every Dallas there is, except for the real Dallas.
I mean, we don't have to necessarily make it like an inside joke where we never do the real Dallas, but it's certainly much funnier to do a fake Dallas. Mm-hmm. But it might actually be fun to eventually do Dallas.
Maybe.
I know Austin. They have Austin is not Dallas, but Austin does the the Alamo films, and I've done shows at the Alamo Theater in Winchester, but I would love to get down to Texas and do an Alamo show down there.
And what's odd with our titles, we kind of backed ourselves in a wall with it, because it's like when we get a subject that doesn't really fit the word "does," it's like, well, how do we title this properly? Since we can't place a certain word in there to make it make sense.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Oh, here we go again. Love them corn chips from Grandpa Nana.
Thanks again,
Thank you, Grandpa Nana.
Providing it.
Thanks for the throat tears. We already know that Paul gargles with razor blades.
And tequila.
So now you know what my life is like there, Lobo.
Wow. Wow. I almost died twice. We're barely in this first segment.
Wow, that one was like loaded with toe jam.
But
how about we get on subject?
We should. And this subject we're going to be
What's
talking...
this episode about, Mr. Lobo? After you are done choking.
This is about making stuff, making magic here at Camp Lobo. Paul's going to be staying with us for a little while. Aaron, I believe, should be here. We should be... By the time you hear this, Aaron Lane of Lane Film, LTD, should be joining us here at Camp Lobo, and he will also be staying here. So we'll have like it'll be like a big slumber party. Only we'll be working our asses off trying to make TV shows.
Maybe we should get him on the podcast for a bit. Break a little bit of time from our heavy Cinema Insomnia 16th season workload and do a podcast or two.
He's going to be mad that he didn't get in on that sweet, sweet Star Wars action in the first 3 episodes. We may have to start talking or not talking about Star Wars again, just so Aaron can weigh in on some of that.
I'll tell you what, if you talk about Star Wars, make sure I'm here to weigh in on that.
Miss Mittens will leave, I'll tell you that. It'll have to probably just
I'll tell you what else. I don't care if Aaron's coming, I'm still not wearing pants. And I'm the big spoon when Aaron's here.
Oh, come on now. All right. Well, we're going to have to go to a break here. Hopefully, Aaron will still want to come here knowing that Paul is going to be the big spoon with no pants. So,
spoons don't wear pants.
Oh, gosh. Oh, God help us. Anyway, we're going to be taking a break. We're going to be talking about making videos. Thank you for being so damn patient with us. And why not enjoy some of Grandpa Nana's downtown, south of the border corn chips while you're away. See you in a minute.
Why, what are you looking for under a tombstone in broad daylight? Shh! You'll scare her away. Scare her away? Who? What? What can you scare away here in a cemetery?
My ghoul friend. She's the ghost in the invisible bikini.
What are you putting me on? Herbie, I know you're broad-minded, but this is ridiculous.
No, I'm serious. And you should see her since she traded her bedsheet for a bikini.
Well, you must enjoy looking around for a real nothing broad.
It's really just that American International is inviting everyone out to the graveyard for a blood-curdling blast with the ghost in the invisible bikini to see Tommy Kirk, Deborah Wally, Aaron Kincaid, Harvey Lembeck, and Jesse White with Nancy Sinatra, and guest stars Basil Rathbone, Boris Karloff, and Susan Hart in The Ghost in the Invisible Bikini in Pathé Color and Panavision.
Now, you would have to get commercial. Now you scared her away. Ooh.
You know, one thing I learned about Camp Lobo here, that's one thing that it taught me,
What's that, Paul?
is that the producer life is not always it's not very it's not very glamorous.
Glamorous. Yes, better word.
Yeah.
There's that famous stammer, Paul.
I still don't hear it. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. Go ahead. Continue.
Because one of my first day here, I mean, I actually arrived a day early. So the first full official air quotes, because I know people out there in Radio Land can't see me, but official day was spent stuffing envelopes, getting materials together for Patreon, all the supporters and stuff like that. We put together 12 orders
12
of one
packets
thing
of buttons
and shirts,
button
and
sets. Oh, and then we have shirts,
stickers.
a fan club kit.
We did that, and so it was putting all that stuff together, putting it in envelopes, getting all the advertising materials and stuff like that. So, you know, you guys want to be indie producers? This is what you got to do.
Stuffing envelopes, moving furniture. I mean, all day long yesterday we were when you showed up, you showed up at the house. You had first you brought in your computer. You brought in your gear, your video gear, and then you had pardon me, the dry erase boards. You had 2 dry erase boards that you bought so that we could keep track of all of the things we have to do. And then the last thing you had was a giant plastic tub full of your clothes.
And you're like, "What's this?" And
It's
I'm
like
like, "A month's worth of
a
clothes."
month's worth of clothes.
And your jaw like hits the ground. You're like, "Oh yeah,
That's right. Jeez.
You gonna need to."
Yeah, Paul's gonna be here a while.
I mean, it's hard to believe you could fit that many shirts, socks, and underwear because there's no pants in that at all, except for the Christmas
The one
slacks
pair,
that I
yes,
wanted
the
to show
pants you got for Christmas. Yeah,
But,
there's like all kinds of weird, funny.
I mean, I can wear
dopey
3 shirts a
cargo
day
shorts
for the
and
next
sweats.
month.
Don't get me started on cargo shorts and sweats. That's like the guy who created the ketchup bottle. I want to go back in time and just murder that person.
And now listen. Now we get to rip apart my dress code, Mister. I wear a suit every day to bed, in the shower.
Well,
and then Paul comes here with his cargo shorts and his sweats pants. And and then you wonder why I don't wear pants at all.
It's it's a challenge. I mean, I kind of, I was sort of, I was a weird kid. I used to wear neckties in high school. I used to wear suits even as a kid. My mom and dad were concerned because they thought the other kids would make fun of me. And I thought that perhaps if I dressed better, that it might catch on. Maybe there'd be some other kids who were too scared.
Be a trendsetter?
Well, maybe some other kids who might want to dress different, and they might feel like they have permission to if somebody else is doing it. So, I've always kind of gone to the beat of my own drummer, and I think that that's what we do have in common. You've always gone to the beat of your own drum. I've always gone to the beat of my own.
Well, my thing is like, I wear the cargo pants and cargo shorts mainly at Comic-Cons and stuff like that. And that's because the amount of gear that I have to carry with me is a little bit too much. I'd have to be carrying like 3 backpacks and stuff. So all my pockets are all filled with batteries, batteries, as well as, batteries. Yeah, well, no, it was funny. As I went through my mind, I'm like, well, there's camera batteries, there's the light battery, there's the mic battery, there's I have lights in my pocket sometimes. I need a bunch of stuff so I'm not constantly, because I gotta be in and out. And I can't be, digging through my backpack trying to find crap. I'm allowed to say crap, right?
No. I think a photographer probably invented cargo shorts.
Most likely.
I mean, I think those big dopey vests with all the pockets, and the cargo
I
shorts.
won't wear that.
I think that's probably those are probably all started with people who on the go with that kind of work where they've got to carry a lot of gear around. I think and probably someplace where it's where they're sweating their ass off. We can't say ass, right?
I don't know. You're the guy. Check your notes.
Let's not say
Ask Miss
Let's
Mittens.
not say ass. Ask Miss Mittens. That's a new segment of the show. And I guess we're kind of getting a little off track here. We're getting on the fashion thing, but I think that, I don't mean to come down on you, Paul, but I think that men's fashion in general has been almost non-existent in this country for a long time. And I think that everybody dresses like they're one of the Peanuts. They've got
Penis?
no,
What's a
not
pe-
Peanuts. Peanuts like the Charles Schultz like the comic strip.
that creates a whole
It's
new
like
image.
Sneakers, droopy socks, shorts, a big goofy sports shirt, and a baseball cap. You either like a rapper or your special needs, or I don't know what the look is, but it's been like that for a long time.
What if you're a rapper with special needs?
Then you've got the biggest, baggiest shorts and sports shirt around. I'm not a big fan of. I don't do casual well. People who know me know that I'm not good at being casual, which is why I didn't want to do a podcast, because I'm not very casual. This is the most casual. That's some of the feedback that we got. This
Right.
is the most casual.
They liked hearing Mr. Lobo be casual, and they liked to hear behind the scenes, which was something that I kept pitching to you. And you're like, nobody wants to hear behind the scenes of Cinema Insomnia.
And I guess I didn't mean no one. I just meant that
Right.
I don't want to hear
Right.
behind the scenes.
You don't want to offer up that. Oh, there's that gross freaking.
Oh man, I dripped
Wow.
a giant glob
Yeah.
of salsa verde on my
See, that's why I don't wear
Krampus
pants.
sweater.
See, I don't have to wash my pants now if I would have dropped that.
That's true. You just lick it off.
If it-
Yeah. All right. So
Moving on.
we're setting up here at Camp Lobo, and gosh, I feel sorry for Aaron because he's really in for a bumpy ride here with the two of us.
Well, that and the winter here in the Northeast has been a little bit hellacious. too.
Brutal.
Keep in
Brutal.
mind, people out there in Radio Land may not know that Aaron's coming from California. What state, California?
He's from
Or what
state?
What state in California?
Yeah, so we're-
Insanity.
Yes.
What
What part of California?
What part of California?
Northern
What-
California, which would
what
be
city, I think is what I meant to say.
Sacramento. Sacramento.
Sacramento?
Callback. That's a callback. Watch Troma Tour, and you'll know why we say Sacramento like that. So,
Go to it all the time.
oh my gosh, too many inside jokes. So anyway, Aaron is coming from California to the land where green salsa and sunshine is scarce.
And a lot of Amish. A lot of freaking Amish.
A lot of Amish. You get
One
stuck
of the
behind
first
a Bucky.
Mr. Lobo does bits that I've written that we have yet to shoot is Mr. Lobo does Amish country.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think it should just be Mr. Lobo does the Amish. Because then it still sounds dirty, which
okay.
is the joke, right?
anyway, but then he's going to come to this weather. I mean, today was on our schedule. On my, I've been keeping the schedule. The dry erase boards we have here are 2 monthly boards. One's this month, one's next month. So today was written to be a supply run day, and the roads are complete ice. So we ended up having
Freezing
to
rain.
reschedule and stuff. So I can
Froze-
only imagine what Aaron's going to have to.
Yeah, we were froze out. So we were planning on going to the store and buying food, and we were going to buy supplies and some props and things for the show. And that was just not on the table because it's just too inclement weather inclamated us.
Yeah, I mean,
Incapacitated
even
us.
without pants. That's.
I don't know how you
tough
do
one.
it. I like to bundle up. I like layers. So we've got. So instead, we decided, well, let's get all our stuff ready to mail because the other thing we wanted to do was to get to the post
Right,
office
that
before
ties back
4:30.
to the stuffing the envelopes.
And once we got to the Patreon, and we had 12 people who had donated $10 or more, and as a thank you to those people who've signed up at that level, we have put together a button set, and these are 4 buttons that are not available anywhere together.
Hashtag plug.
And I don't know if most of them, if not most of these, There were 3 buttons originally, but then we added a 4th. I had a bunch of 10th anniversary Cinema Insomnia buttons left over from our Kickstarter from 7 years ago. And so I thought, well, you know what? I still have these buttons. They're rare. You know, only a few people got them, and I want them to go to backers. I want them to go to supporters. I want them to go to our super core. So instead of the 3 buttons, everyone will be getting 4 buttons now. Yay. And they'll also be getting a eyesore trading card. Now, those of you who do not know, eyesore is a giant monster that is a sometimes mascot for the channel OSI 74, which is where you will be seeing these new episodes.
A quick plug is if you want to see the cards and you're too lazy to go to, say, Patreon, you can go to your YouTube page, and that is our first reboxing video was the eyesore cards.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first one.
The first unboxing video is the eyesore cards. So if you want to see the cards, and I believe you'll see the eyesore cartoon. I think that plays automatically, right? When you load the page, the boom, 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 right? So outer space international, and the cartoon, Mr. Lobo pushes the button and the giant monster comes up, right? Isn't that the first video?
I believe so.
And the Mr. Lobo?
I think so.
I think it's on there.
Sure.
It's on that page.
I'm trying to decide if that's new subscribers or if everybody sees it.
Oh. Okay.
But it seems when I log in to maintain your account, it auto plays for me. So I'm assuming it might be for everybody. It might not be just a new.
So it may not auto play, but there is an OSI bumper with the eyesore, the outer space monster, and so these guys, these Patreon guys are getting trading cards and whatever. And Paul was on the floor. Well, actually, you weren't really on the floor.
No.
But you were
I don't want to be stuck to the floor.
You were at your desk. Oh, God.
It's freezing cold.
Yeah. And then we would just have to burn the floor.
Yeah. I wouldn't blame you.
But Paul was at his desk because we have a station here for Paul now. He was stuffing envelopes, and I was getting everyone's addresses together and writing a personal note on my blue cards from the show. To thank them for supporting the show, because again, even though it's a lot of extra work for us, we couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much. And we are going to go to a break right now, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about
talk about making a movie,
independent video. Being an independent producer, producing, distributing, if you want to make stuff and get it out there, it's a lot of work. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Lobo.
Paul, what's up?
I have a question here about this memo that I got from you. It says that BESTOW TV now needs a commercial.
Oh, whoever wrote that should get fired, I think.
I'm not quite sure what to put into said commercial.
For BESTOW TV, I mean, you just talk about your channel.
Like creative continuity and its sister show, bonus content?
Right, all the convention culture and the interviews with celebrities and all that stuff, sure.
Well, I guess I could also mention the cosplay montages, cos-tunes?
Cos-tunes, right. Astonishing cosplay montage set to an epic soundtrack.
I guess there's convention rewind, too.
Those are great. We've run those on OSI 74.
So I guess that's all I need, so I guess all I have.
Are you sure? Because I think there's one other show that you produced for a BESTOW.
I don't know what you're talking about.
With Mr. Lobo. That we do together, the thing that we do. Remember all those videos we did?
Oh, like Mr. Lobo does.
Yes, Mr. Lobo does, of course.
That's awesome. I'm going to get right on this, and I'm going to write up the script.
Hey, wait, Paul. You forgot to tell him to go to bestow.tv or youtube.com/bestowtv. Idiot. Visit our friends at horrornews.net, a popular horror genre site covering all aspects of the horror industry, plus paranormal, cult, fantasy, and extreme action. Great articles, interviews, trailers, and more. You can find it all at horrornews.net. That's horrornews.net. Okay, you caught me with my mouth full, but we're back with more of the Sleepless Nights of Insomnia.
You're going to wipe that off the edge of the mic?
Sorry about that. So we are, of course, video producers. It's difficult because we're not really making. Again, there's that whole thing of we were making films, we weren't really making films because we were making videos.
Call back.
Now we're video makers, but we're really not making videos. We're making files. We're making computer files. So I don't know how you even classify what we do anymore. but we're doing it for you.
We're makers.
We're makers making movies. I mean, I guess it's always a movie, right?
Right.
Because really, the only thing that it is a motion picture, right? That's what a movie is.
Well,
So if
was
we're
it-
making motion pictures, right?
Wasn't a thing where movie was a particular term, but now since the advent of like video and stuff,
No,
it didn't
no.
matter. Everybody was a movie maker no matter what.
Film is a particular term because there's celluloid, there is actual emulsion that is on it. There is a film, right?
But there's
A movie is a movie. As long as it's an image that's moving, it's a movie.
but there's film on my glasses. Does that make me a filmmaker?
There's a lot of film on my glasses, Paul, and this is the thing. And please, if anyone out there knows what this is, please tell me because I have a theory about it. I think it's the coating. You know, when you ask for like the non-glare coating or the all those special coatings that they offer you when you get your glasses made, which I usually deny, but then they talk me into. After you wear your glasses for about a year, I don't know if it's just the sweat from my forehead or the grease from my hair, but this weird like kind of film kind of starts appearing, or I don't know if it's something that's peeling off or something that's corroding on.
Are we still talking about your glasses or your forehead?
Both. No, we're talking about my glasses, and I end up having to go through a pair of glasses like one a year because of this weird film that appears on the lenses. And I want to know if anyone else out there experiences that. If this is like some kind of like planned obsolescence by the optometry industry to get you to keep buying new glasses. Like we don't want any, because like I feel like my grandparents had the same pair of glasses
Forever.
for like 25 years.
I can't. I have to keep taking my glasses back because there's a fault with them, and they keep breaking every 3 months. I had to take them back. So you know,
Cheese whiz, you know.
Cheese whiz. Where's Cheese Whiz? I want Cheese
would
Whiz.
So
I
you
would
dip?
eat Cheese Whiz.
You would dip.
I
you
would
chip.
dip in Cheese Whiz. Not
Okay,
just not
I
that
see.
disgusting red green salsa.
All right, well, fine, man.
It looks like-
I don't know. It's good.
Oh gosh, that's so
You know,
gross.
listen.
That is so gross.
So, you know, I know it seems like we're living high on the hog here, but you know,
Oh, there's a hog around.
I
smell bacon.
Yeah, let's get it. Let's eat it. But you know, it is difficult to make a living as an artist. It's certainly difficult to make a living, even if you have no artistic integrity and you are a straight industry person. You know, it's still hard to make a living making videos, making films, especially in this day and age. Media has kind of come down to a level to where it's almost worthless. People steal movies, people steal music. And I don't know, stealing is
Or
a strong
falsely copyright
word.
them on YouTube.
So stealing is maybe a strong word because I have a lot of feelings on this issue. I mean, you know, it's not like I'm one of those people that think that you know, watching a video for free on the internet is tantamount to breaking into someone's car and stealing their stereo. I feel like if it's available, people will watch it. And certainly people will watch something without paying before they will watch something and pay. If they feel like they can get away with it and it doesn't hurt anybody. And that said, the media has gotten very cheap, you know, and outside of paying and not paying, we have so many choices. We used to only have 3 channels, then we had 10 channels, then we had 50 channels on cable, and now there's 500 channels on a lot of cable systems, 5,000 channels with Roku.
Only had Blockbuster. Only had West Coast Video.
Right.
And now you can get anything.
You know, so it's so
far as, like, Netflix and so
accessible.
forth.
And the thing that I use as a parallel, and this will come back to video production. Don't you worry. Don't you worry your pretty little head. I know Miss Mittens is giving me the eyeball. Like, where are you going with this?
She's
The
been giving me
hairy
the
eyeball. Yeah,
a long time.
I know. She always is looking at me with a sour puss, bitter beer face. So,
You know she can hear you, right?
oh shoot, sorry. So, you know, I always use for analogy with media is sugar. You know, it used to be that only kings and queens had sugar at their parties, and they had their little silver spoons and their little silver trays, and their little cups and their little, you know, special little sugar bowls, and then now you can get sugar for free. Like you go into any restaurant, any gas station, it's just in packets for people to just take. They don't even monitor who's taking the sugar.
Oh, honey, honey.
You were my candy girl, and you got me wanting you. Ever heard the song Sugar Sugar? That was sung by Ron Dante of the Archies, the band The Archies. And if you watch Cinema Insomnia, this is segueing far away again.
I just really...
Cinema Insomnia, we did a song with the Archies, or with Ron Dante, who sang as Archie and Jughead, and played guitar and produced those songs for the cartoon. He did I'm Watching TV, which is an alternate theme for Cinema Insomnia that we use. And
on the OSI channels.
Many of the episodes, and you hear it on the OSI and some of our commercials. And, and again, that was done independently. I mean, Ron Dante did not have to take the time to help us make that. It was, he knew what we were doing was a labor of love. He enjoyed what we were doing, and he donated his time to help us make that song. Mm-hmm. Coming back to Sugar, which is coming back to video production.
Right. Something, sugar, something, kings and queens.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Right now, sugar is you can buy a pound of sugar and it's under $1, in the grocery store. And, so making sugar, growing sugar, distributing sugar is not really a profitable business, except for the giant companies, the C&H and the big companies that produce sugar. If you're trafficking billions of pounds of sugar, it's something everybody needs, and you make all of that money off the backs of the laborers who are picking the sugar.
So you're saying there's a sugar mafia.
And there is a sugar mafia. And now that we've talked about it, our lives are in danger.
Is that what this was? This is this Illuminati shit?
The media, unfortunately, has come down to the same level, to where the people who control the distribution make all the money. And the artists out in the fields who are producing the content, it's all being made off of our backs. And it's very, very hard to make a living producing your own content or growing your own sugar. And that is exactly what Paul and I are trying to do. And I think that's what Paul and I have in common.
Grow sugar? I think I've been doing this wrong. If I'm here to grow sugar, I think I've screwed something up.
Paul is a very, very talented guy who is totally broke. And I, too, am a very, very talented guy who is almost completely broke. And I think that obviously the world economy collapsed in 2008, and that made things hard for anybody who makes anything that isn't a total necessity.
Or sugar.
But I think that it is a difficult time, a trying time to be an artist, and a trying time to be a producer of media, and to have both of those affects of wanting to create something that is creative and challenging and experimental and new and different, and also having that inclination of trying to make a living producing entertaining programs for people. You've got a heap of problems, and so we have been trying to sharpen our game. Paul is trying to run BESTOW TV. I'm trying to make a whole new season of Cinema Insomnia, and so we've done some. We've gone to workshops. We're trying to learn things. Every day we're sharing articles and stuff with each other. And Paul, we went to what was the name of that thing that we went to? Was that in Harrisburg, or where was that?
I discovered a thing at Harrisburg Comic Con. During last year, called VidJam, which is an independent producer. I don't know if you want to call it conglomerate.
You got conglomerate, maybe collective.
Collective. I mean, it's headed up by Sam Miller, who runs VidJam, and they're working towards being
now VidJam. That's what, video and jam. Is that what those are the two things?
I guess
together?
I don't know why. I don't know why
conjunction?
you would want jam in your video, because doesn't that make it all sticky? And
usually you don't want your electronics near. Any sort of condiments.
The word jam you usually don't want near video, because jam, when it jams in the machine, is like the worst thing ever.
Oh, right, that's true.
And then if it has jam on top of it, then you got to jam to video.
Wow.
So would that be video jam?
You'd have your transmissions would be jammed, doubly jammed.
Right.
I think I think they probably mean like jamming, like how musicians jam,
Like a jam session?
like a jam session, like a jam band, like Fish, like a jam
Fish?
band. Yeah, right.
Oyster crackers?
No, that's a different.
Oh.
That's not that Fish. Fish is like, music for like 45-year-old stoners or maybe 55-year-old stoners.
I was going to say I'm only 3 ways away, but then I'm not a stoner. So,
All right, let's continue.
But it's head up by Sam Miller, and I've been attending a couple of their meetings, trying to network and get used to these other guys that are around here. And I've been trying to get Mr. Lobo to go, and we finally went to a session. It was let me see here. Let me get my paper out here.
Is that those things we had to fill out?
Yeah. I didn't fill out mine properly because I was looking over your shoulder and I couldn't read it very well in the dim light. So there's a lot of.
I don't know if I kept
errors.
mine.
But it was VidJam's Film Business and Distribution Workshop, which I thought was a good way to get Mr. Lobo and Dixie in. So we all attended this workshop together, which was kind of interesting. I had never did a workshop before, so it was kind of new for me. Because the VidJam meetings are nothing what this workshop was. It's just a bunch of us just kind of talking shop, basically, for like an hour at a bar, which is very, very uncomfortable when you're not wearing pants. I gotta say.
How do they let you in without pants?
Barely. But I want to do a bit called Name Our Movie or Let's Make a Movie or something like that. But it looks like
it was Let's Make a Movie, and it was daunting at first because it's funny because you get a room full of filmmakers, and the guy running the talk is saying, "Well, tonight we're going to make a movie." Then suddenly everybody's like all shriveling up, like, "What? You want us to actually do something? You want us to stop talking about making a movie and actually make a movie?" And we didn't really make a movie in one night, but we talked through all the steps of what we might want to do if we could make a movie.
And I thought it would be good to go through those steps, but we have to take a little bit break here. And before we go to break, what the nice sponsor of our show?
Yes,
what's the sponsor?
please.
Because this bag is torn and I can't read the name.
It's Grandpa Nana's.
Grandpa Nana, that's who that is.
South of the border. Wait, excuse me. Grandpa Nana's downtown, south of the border.
Downtown, yeah, because nothing is good but downtown south of the border.
Corn chips. So,
right, and I attest to this. They taste exactly like corn off of your feet. I don't make a habit
in
of
a
eating,
delicious way.
I don't make a habit of eating corn off of feet, but if you were to eat corn off of feet, I would head to your local store and pick up some of this. But after that, how about we listen to some more word from our sponsors?
Sounds good. Let's hear the rest of our sponsors, like all of the real ones.
I try to suppress these thoughts, but they leak out in second level through the head wound of my third death. I was imperfectly repaired.
Vote, please.
Yes, a bit frightening, isn't it?
Final votes. 4, 9. Against, 586. Sentence, George Saden will be aged 5 years.
I have seen the future, and it does not work.
Zardoz! They make you old, but they don't let you die.
So what's to stop you killing yourself?
I do now and again, but the Eternal Tabernacle simply rebuilds me.
Into a world of eternal life, Zardoz brought the gift of death.
Fight back. Fight for death.
20th Century Fox presents a John Borman film.
Zardoz!
It took careful breeding to produce a slave who would free his masters.
Welcome to paradise.
Zardoz, rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
Caution. You are approaching the periphery.
Greetings, we are back with more Sleepless Nights of Insomnia. We're enjoying our Grandpa Nana's downtown south of the border corn chips.
Now, how many copyright strikes do you think we're going to have for that last classic commercial, that classic trailer that we just played?
I'm not sure. Probably just enough.
Just enough? I know Grandpa Nana probably copyrighted it, so that we can assure to get paid to pay him back.
Yes, exactly. A circle of payment.
Circle of something.
Circle of. So we went to this seminar, and the first part of the seminar, he talked about his own adventure making a film.
Now, who's he?
Oh, he is Abdullah Abu. Hold on, let me take a look at this. I'm not passively racist. I just cannot read. Abdullah Abu Mahfouz. who is a partner, who's the second half of what Jason Baker is the other guy. Those are like the two.
Jason Brubaker.
Oh, Brubaker. See, I messed up the white guy's name too.
Jason Brubaker was the guy. He works with distribute. I can't say that one right because it's always spelled funky. I want to say distributor. And
Distributor.
It's distributor.
Okay.
Because we were making fun of it because it was like, well, do you think this?
Okay, so he's not part of VidJam really. He was just there as a special
Jason
talk.
Brubaker was there. VidJam brought him in to special talk, and this Abdullah has a project through Jason.
Oh, okay.
He's doing the stuff through Distributor.
Oh, okay. So he's working with Distributor with his new project.
Correct.
Okay.
So Abdullah is the guy that was telling us that we have to make a movie that night.
Yeah, and Jason Brubaker, he was the first guy who came up and he talked about distributing, right? And then what something was interesting that Abdullah was saying is that they talk to distributors before they even start making the film to make sure that they're working on something that has an end result, that there's somebody waiting to pick this thing up when it's done. Yeah, which is the total opposite of what I typically do.
I was going to say, or that there's not too much of that topic.
So it's I guess a version of a green light where you talk to distributors and you say, look, I'm making this movie, and they even helped him, put him in touch with people on that road to getting his film made because they want to distribute that movie that he wants to make.
Distribute to that one.
Yes.
We should come up with a code name. Can we do a code name? What can I call that?
Call what?
I don't know. Anyway.
You don't need a code name. I'm already confused.
All right, good. Then my work is done here.
Yes.
Good night, folks,
everybody.
And,
drive safely.
Listen to our end plates.
All right. So tell me about this workshop part.
He was saying that that his company helps you get onto Netflix, Hulu.
Right.
Is it Hulu or Hulu?
I say Hulu.
I said Hulu, and a lot of people say Hulu.
Hulu. Yeah, because I think in the commercials they say Hulu. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's not George Takei.
Oh, damn it.
It's this very smooth guy.
But they do that. They do Amazon. They do. What were some of the other ones? There were some of them that were like Tubi TV or something like that.
Yeah, Tubi TV or it could be Tubby TV.
Or sorry, Steam.
Yes, Steam.
Xbox, PlayStation Network.
And we were very interested to hear how I've been doing this wrong this whole time.
You?
Because I mean, one of the things they say is to try to get your stuff distributed someplace where there's a paywall. First, you have it on Amazon for $14 for a while, and then you have it someplace else for $4, and then finally you have it on your streaming channels with commercials. And all my shows are, one, most of them are on the internet on Vimeo for free. Secondly, most of my shows are on OSI 74, or a good chunk of them. Usually 11 or 12 of them are up at a time on OSI 74.
Soon to be 16 new ones.
And they're there for free with commercials, and that's the bottom feeder. That's where you're supposed to end up with your content, not where you start.
Right.
According to Jason from Distributor, there is another school of thought that you just want to have it as available as possible, because the people who will pay, and the people who won't pay, and the people who buy it on Amazon buy everything on Amazon, and the people who buy everything on...
People who are brand loyal will buy it on whatever they're loyal to.
Yeah,
that's why we're on Google and iTunes as far as this.
And
this
I don't know if being on YouTube hurts our iTunes, and I don't know if being on iTunes hurts the Roku channel or whatever. I think everybody has their comfort zone as to where that's my camp of where I feel is like, I want to make this. I'm going to come find you wherever you're hiding. I'm going to bring this content to you.
Get you Barbara.
I don't want to have it in this one place and try to direct traffic to this one place. Come to this one website and get my movie.
We've butt heads about that quite a bit, because it's I'm the opposite, where it's like I try to get everybody to YouTube and stuff like that, and then I end up crying by the end of the week. Only 25 people watched. They only watch the procrastination video.
It's
Paul.
It's tough. But I really feel bad. I think Paul is a stataholic. I think he just stares at those stats, waiting for them to turn over.
I always it burns me inside. There's that stammer that I say I don't have. But it burns me inside because I'm like, I'm upset now. It's 25, not 100. And then when it gets to 100, it's 100, not 100, 250. When it gets to 250, it's 250, not 500. I always feel that there's never going to be an end when it
Well,
comes
and
to
it's funny because you were watching that video where we're talking about all the changes with YouTube, and this guy complaining that he only gets 29,000 on his videos now instead of 2 million or whatever.
Right.
So and again, I don't know how accurate anyone's stats are anymore. I mean, everyone is coming forward admitting that they're squeezing things down just to manipulate the consumer. And so who knows if any of those stats are real or if they're all manipulated to force us to buy advertising, or whatever, or to force us to buy views or buy placement. So, but anyhow, that said, that's the world of distribution, but you can't distribute unless you've got a movie. And
So
if you've
let's
got a
make
good
a movie.
idea, so let's make a movie. And so he brought out these sheets, and we went into groups of 3 or 2 or 3, which was good because we had 3 people.
We came packing. As far
We had
as
4
groups of
people. I
3.
think Miss Mittens was there too.
Yeah.
So it was Miss Mittens, Dixie, and you and I making a
That's
movie.
maybe why they were giving us odd looks. It wasn't because I wasn't wearing pants. It was because we had a
potted plant and a guy in a full suit and a potted plant
and a man without pants
and a woman that doesn't talk.
A quick insert here.
Yeah.
Is the pantsless producer thing actually came from this distribution thing where the guy, what was his name,
Abdullah was funny. It was funny because he was talking about editing in your pajamas,
and I agreed with him. I'm
Yeah,
like,
Paul was like, yeah, that's right.
Down with pants.
Yeah, and like I'm there in a necktie. I'm dressed like Mr. Lobo, and like they put this giant like thing up on the screen, like it's they've got this PowerPoint presentation, and they throw this image up of a bunch of people in business suits. They're like, "This isn't real. People don't dress like this. You don't want to look like this. You don't want to be like these dopey guys in neckties."
Yeah,
and
I'm looking at Lobo.
Oh, I guess not. That would be stupid to be in a suit.
See, that's why the tyranny of pants.
The tyranny of pants. Yeah, that's why you've got your whole cult forming
Yes.
of all these people here who just want to dress like children and not have their pants on.
See,
half
now
the time.
we brought it all around from what, segment 1 or 2, talking about fashion to back to
we
here.
got it
We
back
brought
to
it
here.
all the way around
Somehow.
And see, your suitedness and my pantslessness will come together and make a bond. However gross that might sound, and
It does sound gross.
we will win the internet.
There, it's the whole rocker mod dynamic. You're a little more rocker, I'm a little more mod, and together we could be mockers.
Which one of us is country?
Who's
Miss
rock
Mittens.
and roll and who's country? Miss Mittens is a little
Country?
country.
I hate
a little
country.
country crock, maybe.
Country crock?
Yeah.
Isn't that the pot that you grew up in?
Yeah.
Originally?
A little butter to dab, horse and butter and
Horse and
tub.
butter.
So let's make it. We were asked to make a movie, and what was the earlier part? What was the thing that we had to fill out?
I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna actually skip to exercise 3. I'm gonna get into the meat of this. We're gonna only do. I mean, there's like what? There's about like 14 steps in this damn thing. Can I say damn?
No.
Too bad. So I'm gonna skip to 3. We're only gonna do part 3.
Now we're getting sass. Now you're sassing me back. Wow.
Yeah, I learned it from Miss
You ask for
Mittens.
permission, and then when I say no, you sass.
I learned it from Miss Mittens.
What? She's a bad influence.
I'm going to skip to exercise. We're going to do exercise 3 and 4 here on this lovely podcast. So, if you're definitely a sleepless night, we're going to put you to sleep with this shit. Can I say shit?
No.
All right. So exercise 3 was write a concept for a mock movie that you will be developing today. Remember, a concept capsule is one sentence that identifies genre, conveys storyline, and has an emotional plea. Now, do you want me to write what we wrote? Or
Yeah, read what we wrote.
well, I have ditto and I have an arrow pointing right, which means that I was sitting to the right of Mr. Lobo. And Mr. Robo Lobo wrote this thing, and I wrote ditto and pointed to his thing until Dixie yelled at me and told me I have to actually
Write it.
participate. Because, the world doesn't like leeches. So, this is what I have, and you're going to have to help me here because this one, I apparently have very poor grammar and sentence structure.
Let's get on with it. Let's get to it.
I'm just building up the audience. I'm building up anticipation.
This is like one of my unboxing videos.
Back up. King Kong is the exciting story of a giant prehistoric ape stolen from a tropical refuge, struggling to survive in modern New York City.
They already made that movie.
Oh, sorry, that's the example. My bad. I didn't.
Okay.
What we wrote was. So now that you got the example, Mr. Lobo is thrust into an isolated suburban neighborhood populated by monsters.
Peaceful monsters.
Peaceful. Okay, sorry. Let me start again. Mr. Lobo is thrust in an isolated. Mr. Lobo is thrust into an isolated suburban neighborhood populated by peaceful monsters and is forced to protect them from the outside world that may not be ready to know their existence.
Yeah, when I was thinking, and this was like, again, we were coming up with a movie idea on the spot, and I was thinking, when Paul and I have sort of talked about Mr. Lobo being like maybe the subgenre Mr. Bean, or maybe like the horror version of Ernest or Pee Wee Herman, and a bunch of movies in which Mr. Lobo would be a central character and he'd be thrust into a funny situation that has genre affects. And the concept we came up with is that it's got to have monsters, right? We need more monsters. Oh, bedtime. Sorry, we can't go to bed. We're insomniacs. So the concept is that Mr. Lobo is in like a witness protection program. It's like, what do they do with all the people who've seen the weird stuff, people who've seen monsters, and what do they do with the monsters? So they've got this kind of bubble. They've got this kind of like cute suburban kind of mid-century modern almost neighborhood in which you've got, Roman maybe mowing his lawn, or a robot monster, mowing his lawn, or a creature from the Black Lagoon is the pool man, or, you've got this sort of community of monsters and weird people living in this sort of protected environment from the rest of the world. And then I was thinking there could be another character, maybe someone who works at the same TV station as Mr. Lobo, who would be like a monster hunter or a monster, and he's got a show where they catch monsters, and monsters are terrible. And so, he finds out about this place, perhaps, or maybe he starts kind of either abducting these monsters or creating these situations to make the monsters look bad, to try to exploit them and hurt them and be a hero, because I'm the monster hunter and I'm the good guy, but really he's the bad guy, and Mr. Lobo has to protect the monsters. And that was the plot. That was the idea for this movie that we came up with.
Okay. I guess I'm going to have to, because this is the fourth segment, correct?
Is this the fourth segment?
I think this is the fourth segment, isn't it?
I don't know. You're the producer.
I think we're in the fourth segment. We're already at 13 minutes.
So
I'm gonna
wrap it up.
I'm gonna read through these real quick.
Right.
So this is exercise 4. Mm-hmm. So we have to pretty much match your marketing hooks to this. So star power is
Mr. Lobo.
Story subject.
He's the only guy we can get a hold of. I wish there was someone that we had access to that was a bigger draw than myself.
Well, Tom Cruise, he was kind of into the deal, but he wanted producer rights and stuff like that. And
he's a creep and a Scientologist.
And we didn't want a bunch of running in this movie because Tom Cruise always runs. Story subject matter and situations.
Mm-hmm. Story subject matter and situations.
Yes. Do you remember what we wrote?
You want me to read it?
Do I have to?
Story.
I thought this was a team effort here.
Oh, monsters in isolation.
So so that's the part of the hook.
Those were the part of the hook.
The source material was extracting from genre tropes and creating some original content.
Yeah. We would be looking at all sorts of horror movies and monster movies and taking tropes from them.
Genre was, we put it horror, sci-fi, comedy. So it's a kind
horror,
of a
sci-fi, comedy.
triple mashup here.
Sure.
How many horror, sci-fi comedies are there? Quite a few.
There's quite a few. Sure.
Army of Darkness would be
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, true. Location.
It would just be out in a neighborhood, right?
Yep. We have suburban town, and we have, in quotes, Happy Hollow. So we may have.
That was the name of the town we thought could be Happy Hollow. Dixie and I tried to do a whole Halloween town kind of thing of our own a few years back, and that's what we called it.
Uniqueness. Mr. Lobo meets the Burbs.
Yeah, Mr. Lobo meets the Burbs, or it's kind of like Men in Black a little bit, Men in Black meets My Blue Heaven.
Actually, I thought my abbreviation is MB. I thought because I have MLB.
Oh,
and it's probably MIB, so it probably is Men in Black meets the Burbs.
So what did you say?
I said Mr. Lobo meets the Burbs.
Oh yeah. It's probably Men in Black meets the Burbs meets My Blue Heaven.
We're gonna skip this one because this is the point of the podcast.
Yeah.
So we'll come back around to this. So we'll go to the next one, which is special effects.
Yeah.
Practical effects or digital with a question mark was what we have written. We didn't write anything for exploitive subjects. What would have been exploitative?
Exploitive.
I think we were back and forth. Of
guess. I mean, I guess if there would be some, violence. I guess there could
Violence?
be. There could be not violins. Yes, classical music.
All
yes,
right.
that's always exploitive. Yeah. I think, or perhaps maybe the Bach. Monster hunter could be a sexy woman. A woman monster hunter would be fun, and perhaps I don't want to sound like a chauvinist, but I mean, like a chick with a luchador mask and a big rack would be an awesome adversary for Mr. Lobo.
Real 7 girl.
So.
Price tag. You thought we could make this for how much? I have 2 prices on here. So.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not good at budgeting. I always say, we could make a movie for $5,000, but it's always $5 million, right?
Okay. Well, the price tag here.
Where's the price tag?
The first price tag is $15,000.
Okay, $15,000.
The second price tag is $15. Because we're like, we could probably get the robot.
That's how my show goes. It's like I've made shows for thousands, and I've made shows for tens for pocket change. We clean out a couch and take the change and make a show.
Is your film high concept, low concept, marketable, or payable?
What is that, high concept?
We put high concept.
Yeah, I always get confused, like which is the high concept and which is the low concept. Is there a low concept? Is that even a thing?
Yes, it says high concept, low concept, marketable, or payable.
I mean, is low concept like this is about lesbian Eskimos? I mean, is that like the low concept thing where they're not? It's something that.
Tell me more on that movie.
I guess that seems more edgy than educational, but I mean, which is high concept is like the planet explodes. Is that high concept?
I guess is that Michael Bay's high concept and
then like lost in the translation or something is low concept.
I guess that maybe that's what they mean.
Someone who's a little smarter about filmmaking terms, please chime in and give us a good, smart definition of high concept versus low concept. What's the other thing they said? High concept, low concept, and what?
Marketable or payable.
Marketable or payable. I don't understand what any of those things mean. Marketable. We were at that seminar. We learned nothing.
Sorry.
Marketable is, I guess, if you've got something that
is marketable. Marketable would be like Transformers, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be something like that? G.I. Joe the movie or Transformers or anything that has an existing brand?
Maybe.
Is that a marketable?
That might be marketable
concept
because there's already a market for it.
Or does it mean that there is no market for it and you want to create the next Transformers or the next G.I. Joe?
And then payable is what? Like it's something that people would pay to watch?
I guess. Or you got to pay people to watch.
I've made some things that I'd have to pay them to watch. All right, so that's
there's the bit that I skipped.
Okay, what's the bit that you skipped?
This bit that I skipped, and this is where we want some listener help here. What would we call this thing? Now the lesbian Eskimo thing, I think we should call Nana of the North.
Okay,
but that's not what we're talking about.
Grandpa Nana of the North.
Grandpa Nana of the North. Hashtag sponsored. But what would you call? What would the listeners call this concept if we were to make this?
Yes.
What would we call this? Now we have 2 names and a sequel name.
Okay.
Apparently, I wrote it. One of the titles in here is Monster Attack.
We feel that would be like an exploitive title, right? Monster Attack. What's that about? Where it's really the monsters that are getting attacked. See, it's a play on words.
Ding, ding, ding. But I think we also had a problem because we thought that Monster Attack may already have a name or may already be copyrighted.
There already might be a Monster Attack. There's probably a set of trading cards.
The other one is Monstrous MT Montana. Monsters Montana USA.
Monsters Montana USA. That's a horrible title.
Yeah, well, it's a horror movie, and then the sequel would have been Creature Connecticut USA.
Oh wow! So this is like a haunting franchise, right?
Yes, because then we could go through all the other things like Spooksville.
So it happens in every. There's a little town in every state where all the creeps live.
Creatures.
That's probably true. So that we just made a movie, everybody.
Yeah, and you guys get to name it.
Yeah, you name our movie, and we'll give you a little time to think about that. In fact, why don't you think about it for a week, and we'll talk about it next time on the Sleepless Nights of Insomnia. You have been listening to the Sleepless Nights podcast, or should we say, pODDcast.
Oddcast.
Emphasis on the odd. Our theme is by Mars Homeworld at Dead House Music. Our opening announcement is by Ophelia Necro. She does a radio show called Suicide Watch. And you could reach Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com or find me on YouTube, YouTube/Mr. Lobo, MISTERLOBO. Mr. Lobo on Facebook, Facebook/MR.LOBO, or on Twitter at Mr. Lobo, MISTERLOBO.
Or you can find myself, Paul Sanders, or better known as BESTOW TV, at BESTOW.tv, on YouTube /BESTOW TV, on Twitter at BESTOWPROD, PROD, and on Facebook, BESTOW TV.
If you want to place an advertisement with this podcast, and gosh, why wouldn't you? We could be talking about you right now. Contact us, Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com. That's MRLOBO @CINEMAINSOMNIA.com. Or support us on Patreon. Patreon supporters get to hear this podcast before anyone else and a lot of other great stuff, right, Paul?
Sure.
Doesn't get it better than that, right? So come join the fun at patreon.com/cinemainsomnia. That's patreon.com/cinemainsomnia. Please stay up with us next week for another Sleepless Nights podcast. Or should we say, pODDcast.
Oddcast.
The best thing about being an insomniac is never having to say goodnight.
Good night.